Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and I hope you absolutely like this one and give it a thumbs up. We're going to talk about Rishi Sunak and the D-Day debacle because, and it makes it sound as though it can't happen, it's actually got worse. Now, we know what he did. He ran away from the beaches very bravely, unlike 80 years ago when people were running towards them. And he left early because it was inconvenient to remember the great sacrifice that was made. Of course, it's not for him. Of course, it's not his history, his culture. It's not his heritage. He being someone who has no connection whatsoever with this country or its past. And so to him, it was really rather unimportant. But the great thing about that is, to everyone else, it was. And so he came back and there was this huge media storm. And he realised almost straight away that he had, to put it in the immortal words of Morgan Freeman, that was the moment that he knew he'd fucked up. And so what does he do? Well, he sort of gets into a little huddle with his advisors and he disappears. And nobody sees hide and hair of him for 3 days. He doesn't talk to the press, won't address the media, nothing. Goes into hiding, incommunicado, quivering. Then he comes back out and pretends nothing's happened. And he gets his little wet sock friends to come out and say, oh no, Rishi's fine, he's not resigning. And, well, I think, says Liam Fox, everyone's moved on past this. No, they haven't. And then he goes off on his little visits again to show that, business as usual. But he only visits constituencies which have got huge, huge Tory majorities, because he knows he daren't vote, he daren't go anywhere else. And it rumbles on. He wants it to end. The Tory party want it to end, but it isn't going to end. It's just not going to end. He's got to resign. And if anything, today, it's just got worse. Way, way worse. Because at the beginning of this interview, for which he ran away from Normandy double quick, he begins, and you can't believe that this is the thing, but he begins by apologising to ITN, or ITV, sorry, ITN is a thing of the past, isn't it? He apologises to ITV for his lateness and then blames the D-Day commemoration for overrunning. My response to this is 4 words. 4 simple words that I think sums up Rishi Sunak. How fucking dare he? How dare he blame the D-Day commemoration for him being late for an interview where he's trying to save his worthless, ephemeral, pointless political career. A man who's done nothing. A man who has failed. He stabs Boris in the back. He stands for election. He gets rejected by the rank and file of the Tory party. He fails at that. They put Liz Truss in, but the powers that be decide that she is not the one for them. They want Rishi, regardless of the will and desires of the Tory party members. And so they boot her out and they force Rishi in. And Rishi fucks up from day one. Everything he does is failure after failure. A man who cannot, in any way, shape or form, regard himself as British after what he's done last Thursday. And then he has the gall to blame the D-Day celebration. What a cuck. What an absolute prick. It is no wonder, as I've covered earlier, the fact that Reform are now level pegging in the polling with the Tories. The Tories are destroyed. And one only has to look at the manifesto he puts forward, and it's exactly the same as what Liz Truss put up. And yet they rejected Liz Truss because Rishi was the man of the moment. And they blamed it on her policies. They're now enacting the same policies, but apparently it's acceptable now because this is Rishi, the non-tax-paying billionaire with the green card. One of them, one of the WEF. I've been a Tory my whole life. I've voted Tory all my life. I will never vote Tory again. Not while there's a viable alternative. This year there is, and it's reform, and I'm voting reform. I don't expect reform to get in. That's not why I'm voting reform. I'm voting reform not to get reform in, but to send the message to the Tory party to start being a Tory party again and get rid of the wets, of the Conservative home wankers, from the One Nation tosspots. All these people that have moved the Tory party so far to the left, it might as well call itself New Labour. And to start doing the job expected of it by the people of this country. It is a spent force. It is the oldest political party in the world. And at the moment, it's going to die on its arse. And I don't care. They have no God-given right to exist. I loathe all parties. Don't get me wrong. I loathe the Tory party even when I was voting for them. You look at the likes of the people that have been there through my life and you think, what a bunch. There's been one or two that have been good. There's been one in particular who, God bless her. But you look at the likes of John Selwyn Gummer, force-feeding his child contaminated beef just to make a point. Here, small child, let me fill you with poison just for the TV cameras. Prostituting your family, John? Don't think so. There's been lots of them like that. There's people who are actually quite good, but have had careers destroyed over moments. One only has to think of John Redmond, sitting there trying to mouth the words of Yaki Da, whatever it was, the Welsh national anthem. I don't know the words either. Men of Harlech, is it? Whatever it is. And he's like, blah, 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 and mumbling words. And it destroyed him. And yet, a man who, I've got to say, very, very clever. He's retiring as well. Very clever man. Just in the interim, the 3 weeks or so he'd been the Welsh minister, he'd not learned Welsh or the Welsh national anthem. What do they expect? This is the sort of thing that goes on. I don't care. I don't care. They've done it to themselves. Rishi today is coming out saying, oh, look, poor me, he's saying. I had a private education, he says, because my family had to give up things. We didn't have Sky TV. We gave up a lot of things. We went without. Well, I tell you what, Rishi, you've become Prime Minister and a hell of a lot of people are having to do without. Only where you had to do without Sky, these people are having to do without food, without homes. You prick. And then you sit there and then you piss on the graves of the dead of Normandy's beaches. You should be ashamed of yourself and you should resign, you human piece of filth. Absolutely disgusting. I'm angry and I shouldn't be. I'll stop. Thank you very much. I apologise for my anger, but I'm going to move on. Thank you very much. Goodbye.